Hello and welcome to my channel. You know, whenever I get a suit from Dan Hayes, it's going to put together a beautiful figure, right? I mean, 90% of the figure is the outfit that it wears, and he puts together such magnificent pieces. It makes any custom just so easy. And today, I have an example of his Antman suit. I think this is a relatively new one. You know, it's in his catalog. It's towards the bottom, so I think it's relatively new. Bumped into it a while back. Was initially going to turn this into a Deadpool, but you know, after getting it and looking at it and just looking at all the detail in it, look at the attention to detail in the design and in the construction. It has those snaps that are reminiscent of the old Mego figures. I knew I just had to put together an Antman. So today's episode is using Dan's suit to create a custom Antman figure. Now I just got to go find a head. Okay, I'm going to go looking for a head that I can use my printer to print out. And I use Yegi as a search engine. Yegi has a bunch of different files and uses a lot of different sources. So it should be easy to find an Antman head. And you know, there's already options here. You can use a statuette and cut off the head. Oh, look, there's MODOK. You know, there's lots of different types of heads. 3D print. But I think I'm going to go with this like old school one. This one right here. And I'm going to go ahead and get that one downloaded. So I just click download all files and get that one saved. And I'm going to need a head because what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a composite. And this composite is going to be two files kind of put together into one. So I'm going to need a head to go with my helmet. And I type in Mego head and I get a bunch of different heads that are already scaled for Mego. Well, that's neat. So I won't have to go through the scaling. I'm going to go ahead and take this one right here, this Van Helsing, because it's free. And I want to make sure that everything works well. That doesn't look too bad. All right. Click download, and then I'm going to download this as well. Save the files, and I'm going to open them up in another program, which is my Anycubic program, the one that I use for my printer. So let me go ahead and get these downloaded, and I'll move them over to my printer. Okay, I'm trying to load my Van Helsing head, and it says I need to repair it, so I'm just going to click repair very quickly. And there's the head. So this should already be scaled in Mego size, so I should be good there. Let me import my helmet. Ooh, it's outside the range of my printing plate. This thing right here, this base is supposed to represent the size of my printing plate. And so it's pretty big for that, and it's also big for the head. So let me scale it down. Come over here and click scale. I don't know what you have on yours, but this is for my Anycubic Photon Workshop. It's a program that I downloaded for my printer. Okay, that looks about right. Now let me move it. And pull it back a little bit. That doesn't look too bad. I think it's a little low. Let me pull it up a bit. And I think that's going to be a nice head for my Antman. Looks like I'm a little off. Right about there. Okay. Now that I've got my composite done, you know, it looks like it's a little off still. Let me pull it this way. I'm going to go ahead and save it. I'm going to go to export, and I'm going to call it Antman. And what this is going to do is it's going to make a composite. Let me show you. Let me go back and import it. Antman. Okay, so I've got two Antmen. If you'll notice, this one is one solid figure. This one right here is still my composite. So I'm going to delete this one. Now that I have the one that I'm going to be using for my Ant-Man figure, and I need to print it. So what I do is I just rotate it back a little bit. I'm trying to minimize the number of supports that are on the face. So let me do that. Support. And that looks pretty good, except I got these like weird little things here on his face. Let me go ahead and do manual editing. And there's a minus support right here. So I just click on that and I hit delete. And I can delete all the supports that I don't need. They're just kind of hanging out there. I think I got them all. Then click done. Oh, it looks like I missed one on the nose. Minus. Okay, it looks like I got those supports. Then click done, and now he's ready to print. I simply go to slice and then save the file on my drive. See where it says save slice file? I just put it on my drive and then I can print it up. So let me go ahead and get that taken care of, and then we can start working on painting our figure. Now that we have a head chosen, it's going to be a pretty easy paint job. We got our Bugman's Glow, that's going to be the base coat that I use. And I'm just going to put that on the face. And you know, if you get any on the cowl at this point, not a big deal. We're going to go back and we're going to take care of that. Just make sure that you get under the cowl. That's going to be the most important part, is that you're underneath the cowl and you're getting into those deep recesses of the figure. See, under the eyes, everything. Because this base coat is going to be like the shadow flesh tones of our model. And with that cowl there's not really a lot to paint. Looks like it's going to be a pretty easy job. Maybe the eyes might be difficult because they're recessed. But like I said, just make sure that you're getting into the darker areas with your paintbrush, and everything should be good. Gonna get the chin. You can see there the composite, I have a little gap there. But you know, it's not visible. I don't know what yours is going to look like. I think I used a different head. I used one that I had already, but the one that I showed you in that video is an easy way to get this Ant-Man. And I think it's almost identical to this one. I think just the head sculpt was a little bit different. I don't remember which head sculpt I used. It was just one that I had available. Okay, so that's what we have so far. Nothing fancy. I'll let that dry and I'm going to come back and I'm going to do the next shade. And I may start on the eyes. Those little guys are way back in there. Look at that. Now that that base coat is dry, I'm going to get my next lighter color, which is a Kislev flesh. Oh no, that would be the Cadian flesh. Sorry, Cadian flesh tone. It's going to be my next color. And I'm going to use a dry brush, which means I'm just going to take off a bunch of this paint right here. So that there's barely any on the brush, so that it gives a nice highlighting effect. And you can see that already. I'm getting there in the eyes. You can see it's giving a little depth to that flesh tone. And that's it. I'm going to let that dry, and then I'll put on the last layer. And I'm going to do the eyes. Just got to make sure that I get the highlighted portions of the face. Yeah, that's already looking pretty good just with that already. Now the final layer, which is my Kislev flesh. And again, I'm just going to do a dry brush. So get some paint on the brush, and I'll get rid of as much as I can. And then this is my final, my top layer, which really brings out some of the highlights in the model or the sculpture. You can see I'm just getting all of the areas that are visible with this last layer. And the darker colors are still in the shadow. It's looking pretty good. Okay, I'm gonna do the eyes now and let them dry. Just gonna put some black into those eye sockets. It's gonna be difficult because they're kind of recessed. But I'm just gonna take a little bit of this black paint and just pop it into the eyes. I have a little light on my glasses here. I don't know if that's going to make it easier or harder. Probably harder. But the eyes aren't going to be as visible, so I think any mistakes that you make might be covered. Looks pretty good. I think I was able to get that black paint in there because the touch-up is going to be a little difficult. Okay, I'm going to let that dry and I'll come back and I'll put the whites in there. And I'm just going to put a little black dot for the eye. Nothing fancy. I have a little bit of this antique white or antique parchment that I got from my apple barrel paints. And I'm just going to paint the eyes. And I'm going to try to keep that top lid black. I'm just painting the rest of the eye white. But I'd like to keep the top lid black. Same thing with this eye over here. It's a little hard though because, like I said, they're kind of like recessed. I think that might be the best I can do. And then I'm going to paint the lips. For the lip color, I'm going to use the darker Bugman's Glow. And I'm just going to squish it in between the lips here, maintaining some of that highlight. And I don't want to paint them too much because I want to keep the highlighted on the base of the lip. I think that's good enough. All right, now I'm going to wait just a tiny bit, just to get the whites dry, and I'm going to come back. I think I'm going to do a blue paint. Might as well. Okay, I got my Space Wolves Gray, which is a bluish gray paint, and it's contrast, so it kind of like it has some really strange properties in that it's not like one solid color. Now, let me get a thicker brush. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but I want a nice little dot. I think I just dropped it. Would like a nice little drop in there. And I want it to be kind of like roundish, so I'm getting, it's still a fine tip, but it's not as fine as what I have. Because it's going to be hard to get in there, and I just want to put a dot and just kind of like leave it. I think I got it. That looks pretty good. All right, now off to the helmet. Okay, base coat of lead belcher. It's a darker, like gunmetal gray. Let me shake it up. And then I can come back and I can highlight with a true silver. But just gonna put this on the helmet as like a base coat. And then I'll come back with the silver. It's actually a pretty good color in its own right. But I think I'm going to do a dry brush with some silver paint. Okay, I'm going to get that on the entirety of the helmet, and we'll start working on the dry brush. I'm so lucky I didn't have to go back and touch up those eyes. As you can see, that's a pretty good color. And with the cowl here, or the helmet, it's pretty easy to apply. Yeah, I like that color. Okay, I'm gonna let that dry. I might need a second coat, but it looks like that's gonna be a really decent color for my base coat. So far, so good. Now that my lead belcher is dry, I'm just coming back and I'm using a silver paint and I'm just doing highlights. You'll notice I'm just going across the edge of it, just to get that silver color, but maintaining some of the darker tones underneath that silver. So it's not really a dry brush, but it is like a blocking technique where I'm not utilizing all of the paint, just the highlighted parts of it. And by coming down at like a straight angle, I can kind of keep that illusion of depth. See how that's looking? I'm just going right across the face mask on by the eyes. Doesn't seem to be harming them any. You can really see it on those earpieces. It's really keeping that detail. Now I'm just gonna do the top of the head. That would be the brightest part. And then just pulling it back towards the base. Making sure to get the antennae. There's my Antman. I think he's done. That was an easy one. Let me get him sprayed with my clear coat enamel and let's get him dressed. Yeah, neat little head, look at that. Well, there's my Antman. I gotta say, he came together really well. I really like that head sculpt. That helmet is just so cool. And it was really easy to do. Look at the profile on that, it's pretty neat. You can see that just kind of like blocking out that silver paint really gave you some good detail there. You know, the face came out really nicely with the layering. Just overall really happy with them. Oh, you'll notice that I picked up some accessories for Dan's suit. This belt right here, isn't that the consummate Antman belt? It just looks like it was made for this figure. Actually, it came from a Batman Beyond figure that I cannibalized for his suit and the wings. So I actually picked up, I think it was 3 Batman Beyond. And I have one that I have in my collection, and then the other 2 I just use for fodder. And that belt worked out perfectly. The boots, I wanted a slim-fitting, satin-looking boot. And I actually had these in my junk drawer. My parts closet, just kind of sitting there doing nothing. They came from a G.I. Joe figure. Well, actually I picked up like, I think 2 or 3 extra G.I. Joe packs because I've been using those pieces for, you know, other figures as well. But I think it came out really well. And I guess I have to address the elephant or the ant in the room, which is that little ant right there. I had originally just printed him up as like background, you know, because Antman needs an ant. And I found this little print online, and it was a Dungeons and Dragons miniature giant ant. He wasn't this big though, you know, I kind of blew him up. But I thought, you know, after painting him and getting him together, he just really is a neat little addition to this figure, you know? So much so, I think I'm gonna call this guy Battle Antman. Right? Or Battle Ant Antman, because his little sidekick there kind of steals the show. I even named him Antimony, the Battle Ant. You know, I just to paint that guy. I wish I would have gotten it on camera, but like I said, it was just supposed to be a background piece. I just sprayed it with like a brown paint, and then I dry brushed some orange on top of it, some harvest orange that I had. And then finished him off with a satin clear coat. And I think he came out pretty well. All in all, very excited about Antman and having him in my collection. I mean, it's just a fun piece to do. So much so, I think I am going to do a wasp. And I've already printed up the head for my wasp. And I'm going to be working on getting an outfit for her and putting together that piece for an addition to this. I even ordered some clear resin because I wanted to make some wings. I found a pattern online where I can make some wings, so I'm gonna make some wings for her, and you know, maybe, I don't know, maybe I can find a wasp for her. Maybe I'll just get a wasp for Antman to ride, I don't know. But I've been having fun with the Antman, gonna have some more fun with him. Until next time, you guys stay safe, be cool, and enjoy your customizing. You know, these suits by Dan Hayes make it so easy. I mean, all you got to do is just come up with a head. You know, that's another thing. I didn't find a head out there that was commercially available. I'm glad I did my own, and I'm so glad I have my printer because I can print things like my head and antimony here. You know, it allows me a lot of freedom to do that, but a lot of people don't have printers. They don't want to get into printing, you know. So I think having a head would be a great idea. I don't know if any of the people who do the manufacturing, you know, like World's Greatest Superheroes or Vins, you know, even James Rogovoy, if they do, if they watch these videos and maybe they can see a need for an Antman, you know, maybe a classic Antman, you know, even an MCU Antman. I think those would be cool. So I don't know. Just a little bug in the air for people out there. If you have a printer, I've showed you how you can make your own, right? So that shouldn't be an issue if you are, I guess, somewhat competent with your printing skills. You know, I mean, it's not a big deal just throwing 2 pieces together, right? You saw that. Well, I've talked enough here. You guys stay safe and be cool, and I will see you guys really, really soon. And Timony says goodbye. I just can't get over him. Look at that. It's just so cute.